Hello, everyone. I'm going to wait just a second till we see everyone has gotten over here from the waiting room or wherever you all have been. So happy to see you here. What I'm going to suggest while we're waiting to fill up a little more is to open up the chat and pop in there where you are from. Where are you listening from today? Love to see where everyone is in the world right now. Ooh. I said, "Oh my gosh, someone's in Pennsylvania. Heather, they might be near." Oh, it's Heather. There we go. All right. We should do one of those contests. Whoever is the furthest away, whoever traveled the farthest to get here today. Very
I
good.
saw New Jersey float by. That's where my mom is from. So I'm like, oh, Jersey,
Oh,
yes.
I saw
Wow.
Argentina. All right, everyone. Well, we are very excited to be here today because we're going to talk about something that is, I think, near and dear to all of us and hopefully to all of you. We're going to talk about kind of the basics, staying committed to the basics. I know everyone wants like the fancy thing, the answer, the thing that'll make this happen. And that's really not what it's all about. It's about the basics. All right, so we're going to share, each of us are going to share some thoughts about the basics, and then we're going to share some things with you just to kind of help support you in this journey. So I'll go ahead and I'll start with me since I'm already the one talking. I think that the basics that we're going to talk about today and the basics that are the theme of this month at the fasting method in the community membership is what is really crucial because without these, I guarantee all of the fancy things won't work. It is these basic things that you might hear us coaches talk about. You think, man, these people are like a broken record. I know what Jamie's going to answer to that. I bet I know what Heather's going to say. You're right. And the reason we keep saying the same thing is because they're the easy things to forget. No matter how skilled you get with fasting, you need these basics. So we want to emphasize them. We want you all to rely so heavily on these basics that you're not looking out there for the ooh and the ah kind of thing, that you're really doing what really matters. And these things really do make things happen. So, Heather, I can't remember when our podcast episode is coming out, but Heather and I did a podcast episode about a three-legged stool about these basics, and I just think they're so important. So I'm going to highlight one of them, and then
I
Heather,
think it's today. That one
is
might be
it
even today.
Thanks,
awesome?
Jamie.
Perfect
I think
timing.
we're on
Yes,
the roll.
someone just mentioned that in the chat also. Thank you.
Yes, it's
Yes, so go
today.
listen to that after this.
I thought
Um,
you planned that for the
yeah,
be
we did. I meant to say that. So, what I want to highlight about it is that if you're relying on the basics, things will happen, things will start to change. But sometimes they don't change as quickly as we want or in the exact way that we want. So, I'm going to take one of them, and this is probably my favorite one. That's why I'm stealing it first before Heather and Jamie get to talk about it. But the importance of time restricted eating. And I had a client who relabeled it. She named it something else. She named it EOM instead of TRE. And EOM stands for eating only meals. So if this is a 2 meal day for you, you're going to eat twice. If this is a 1 meal day for you, you're going to eat once. And if this is a no meal day for you, a complete fasting day, you will eat 0 times. Folks, it is that simple. Now, I know implementing it is not that simple, but thinking about it needs to be that clear. How many times will I eat on this day? Oh, it's a 2 meal day. I will eat twice. Now, some of us once upon a time got this idea that TRE just meant um, eating only certain meals, but that you could eat the whole time in between. So if you start eating at noon and you finish eating at 7, you've got 7 hours to eat. That is not what we mean. That's why calling it eating only meals helps clarify for some people. If you're a lunch and dinner person, you eat lunch and you eat dinner. There's no afternoon snack. There's no morning, snack or a late night fresh up or something. Nope. You eat just the meals. And I guarantee if you can make this a real focus in your journey, it will have a positive impact. All right, I'm going to toss it over to one of you. Who's next?
Jamie, you want to go next?
No,
You go
you
next.
got this.
All right, I'll go next. I'm going next, everybody. So I am going to veer a little bit off of that, that pathway because Terry took the best and most important, obvious one, and because she started. I'm actually going to take a mindset one because she didn't. And what I see so much, because I mostly, I mostly work with people who are looking to lose weight. That, I focus on weight loss as a coach. And what I see repeatedly is that, and I bet you this is the case for a lot of people here. You don't maybe have a knowledge problem. You maybe have more of a consistency problem, right? So you might be coming here and be like, I know all about TRE and I know all about all the fasting regimens and I know all about what I'm supposed to be eating. Like that isn't it. Well, then what is it, right? What I see, the what is it part is the consistency piece. And so one of the things that I teach, and I saw some of my clients' names come flying through here, and I know that they will back me up if they so choose. So what I teach is, you know what? Since motivation is what tends to fall away on us, we start out all gung ho, 2, 3 weeks, we got it, we're doing all the things. What if we really made sure that we made a point to think about what we're trying to do on a regular basis? So I teach my clients, okay, you got big goals, what are they? And then how often are you thinking of them, right? So if you just made it a habit every single morning to think about those goals, think of what you're trying to do, and keep your head in the game that way, then I think it has a trickle down effect for all of these other things that we're going to be talking about. So if first and foremost, okay, what am I trying to do? I like to say I have a healthy, strong, cut, fit body with a flat belly, right? That is what I am out to have, as far as my overall goal for my health and my fitness and all of those things. So I have that visualization in my head, but I also have some intentions. Is today a running day for me? Is today a lifting day for me? Every day is a walk my dog day for me, right? And so there are things that I need to do on a consistent basis in order to achieve that. So I'm not at all saying, oh, just imagine it and think about it and then do nothing, right? The do something is certainly the piece that comes next. But I think that focusing your brain and keeping your motivation top of mind by starting your day with it is a really good basic foundational skill, right? Things like weight loss and lifestyle change, behavior change take a whole lot of work, friend, right? It takes a whole lot of times, a whole lot of reps in order for you to, kind of transition your body and your mindset into what you are trying to achieve. And so that mindset shift takes reps. And so I think that the daily goals thing is a way to do the reps of the mindset shift that is necessary. And one little caveat, sorry, Jamie, I gave you the chance. One little caveat is that as we talk about these foundational pieces and where, what things that we think, kind of lay like the groundwork for what you need to be doing, please keep in mind that even though there are several things, when we're just starting out, we start with one thing. We can, get very gung ho and start biting off more than we can chew. And so it's like, okay, Terry said TRE, so I need to do that. And Heather said goals every morning, and I need to do that. And Lord knows what Jamie's going to say, but I got to do all of those things. And we get overwhelmed and burnt out. So I encourage you, if you are brand new and this is all new to you, pick one thing, start with that one thing and go from there.
Okay, well, y'all just checked off my whole list here.
Jamie's like, done, thanks.
Had your chance.
Because before you did that extra little blurb, Heather, I was going to really plug in realistic goals. And I think you touched on that. But so many people, okay, me, when they first start here, we come in with these huge, lofty goals. And to me, that really is setting ourselves up to fail. I started this journey thinking, you know what? I can fast. I'm going to do a whole series of 5-day fasts. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, that was about the worst decision anyone could ever make. Because this is a journey. This is a process. So realistic goals is so important when you first get started for your big foundation. What is it that we really want to achieve? Most of us want to, we're here to improve our health. many weight loss, metabolic health, etc. But starting to build on what Heather said, with that one realistic thing, what I can do. And that's going to change over your journey. Today, when you're first starting, it may be this big. It may be, and I'm going to correct myself. I don't like the word just. I'm not going to throw that out. It may be this big. Today, I can start with TRE. I know I need to clean up some of my food. Get to that. We will build on all of that. But right now, simply TRE and stopping our eating, that is a huge accomplishment. And with that, when we successfully do the very beginning, the smallest task, you celebrate those wins. You go to bed every night and you say, yes, I did this. That's going to help you build. But really, realistic goals. And to me, getting to those realistic goals comes with getting honest with ourselves. Not easy. Honest with where we're at and with what we can do with what's going on in our lives at that time. If you're in the middle of planning your daughter's first wedding and you've got all this other stuff, may not be the best time to have a huge lofty goal. See where you are and see what you could do and start there.
I love that you mentioned bandwidth. Oh, that is we have the capacity to do, sometimes we have the capacity to do huge things, and sometimes we have the capacity to do much smaller things. And that is not even speaking to being brand new in the journey versus not, right? You can be an experienced, faster experience, like you might have, you know what I mean? You might have all kinds of tools in your tool belt, but if you don't got it today, you don't got it today. You got this, I got this much. What can I do with this much? And you do that much, and that's all you got.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Very good. Man, I'm supposedly like this mindset person, and the two other people did the mindset piece. I love it. I love it. So, real quick question just came up in the chat, so I'm just going to respond to it because sometimes we use lingo that everyone isn't used to yet. TRE stands for what we refer to as time restricted eating, meaning eating only meals, no snacking, no grazing. So I just wanted to clear that up because we've been highlighting it here. Something else that I want to add as one of the foundational pieces is this is going to be a big one. So I'm going to put it out there and then I'm going to explain. Don't get too rule bound. What tends to happen with something like this, everyone's like, okay, coach, tell me the rules. What are the rules? And I'll follow the rules. The problem is the rules are different for each of us. Now, at TFM, we do have a couple of kind of overarching rules that we do encourage, and we're going to highlight those today. They're never very popular. No one loves us for saying them, but we're going to say them anyway because they're really important. And anytime I have clients who are struggling, when community members come to meetings and say, yeah, I just can't make this happen, if I dig into one of these things, it's almost always the culprit. But the reason I say not to focus on getting too rule bound is kind of as Heather was mentioning it, and Jamie too. If you come up with a list of 47 rules that you must follow, you're going to last about 3 hours. It's not going to go very far. So, creating set of parameters for you that again fit where you are at this time. And just because Megan Ramos said it once, or just because Coach Jamie said this in a meeting, doesn't mean that is the rule for every person. Listen to the context of these things that we're putting out there. TRE, that's just a rule, accept it. But other things are really contextual. So I'm going to use an example that everyone loves and hates, and that is dairy, talking about dairy. Now, it would be very easy for us at TFM to just say, stop it. Never again will you have dairy. Boom. Okay, we're done with this meeting. That's all we need. But the reality is, some of you are going to use dairy and it's not going to get in the way for you. And others of you are going to use it because it's your best friend and it is going to slow you down every single day. So we have to figure that out. Some people thrive on it, some people will be blocked by using it. So please, there's not just one strict rule that we all have to follow in the exact same way. Every time we do one of these meetings, people will say something like, "What's the best protocol for this? What should I do? What protocol?" Man, let's see. There are 275 of us here, and there are probably 290 best answers for that. It's really going to depend on where you are. So if you get too caught up on what rules should I follow about this, I want to encourage you to learn more the intention, the ideas behind the rules so that you figure out not how to work around the rule, but to figure out how to set those parameters for yourself. Okay? So that's my foundational piece.
I feel very called out by the dairy. I don't know if anybody else in the chat is feeling very called out by the dairy. I think sometimes that comes into play with the coffee, and I think last coach's corner, if any of y'all were joining, there was a whole like, what do you mean? Why are you coming after my coffee and my dairy, right? And when thinking about things like time restricted eating, and kind of like that's basically what Terry is talking about, right? There is a spectrum for most of these things. Like I think Coach Lisa talked about how, a lot of these things like a dimmer switch. And so what works for some people are going to do that heavy cream in the coffee and it's going to be fine for them. And so for some people, it's going to govern you. It's going to get in the way of either your progress or your speed. And I can tell you that when people, want to lose weight using intermittent fasting, they want to do it fast in my experience. Very few people are like, "Oh, I'm good. I'm okay if, quarter pound a month, like whatever." No, most people are like, "Let's get this thing going." And the problem is that on the one hand, it's like, I want this thing to go as fast as humanly possible. And on the other hand is, I don't really want to change my diet at all. And these are incongruent, right? Those two things don't go together. And so if we want this speed, we really need to look at, okay, what's getting in the way of that speed? And so many times what Terry was alluding to is dairy is probably getting in your way. Nuts are probably getting in your way. Like things that fit the macros but are very energy dense. If we are trying to create an energy deficit and tap into body fat for fuel, we are going to slow ourselves down. And so these are trades that we are making on a regular basis. It's not good or bad. It's not right or wrong. It's a decision that you have to make for yourself, but recognize that the choices need to match up. Going really fast and eating whatever you want whenever you want to, that doesn't work. So you got to decide which way you're going to go with that.
For me, if getting off the food for a second, I think one of the biggest things to remember, especially when starting this journey, is that word consistency. And I think it's so important when we are on this to remember consistency really is the biggest foundational, most important piece. What do I mean by that? Meaning, when you're making your plan, doing something that you can be consistent on is way more valuable than a duration or anything to that. We get people asking us, probably some of the most common, again, what is the best fast that I could do? What is it that I should do? Our answers are often, what can you do consistently? What can you do? That's the place to start for your foundation. If you right now, 324s is what you can do consistently, fantastic. Plan your 324s. For those of you, I know there's some people who are not in the community that's doing 3 24-hour fasts a week. But you know what? Right now, TRE may be what you can do consistently. Then get your TRE on, your time restricted eating. The best fast is the fast that you can do. And the fast that you can do, again, consistently. That is going to get you to the finish line more than anything else. So consistency is one of I should get that as my next tattoo. That is one of for my own reminder. That's one of, I think, the hallmarks really of making this journey work. Being consistent.
There is no success without consistency in anything, right? In any big thing that we want to do. And I think to your point, Jamie, and sorry, I just skipped right over you, Terry. I just cut you right off.
That's all right.
I think to your point, like, we want that minimum viable that we can stick to on a regular basis. So if your life is chaotic, but you're pretty sure you can fit in 324s, alternating 324s, what have you, then there's your baseline. But what if, you have a Wednesday that you feel like you can, switch that to an overnight? Great. But if you set up your minimum viable, and we are James Clear fans, we are Atomic Habits fans here in these parts, right? Then your system is, this is what I got on a regular basis. So yeah, you can always kind of, when you got a little extra, right, your capacity is a little bit bigger and you can do those overnight fasts, great. But if you're, no matter how much chaos is going on, you always got a 24 in you, then that is exactly, what Jamie was talking about. It's like, oh, Nelly, if you can consistently do 324s a week, that far and away trumps 172 every 4 or 5 months, because you want to do the biggest, best fast. And consistency absolutely trumps intensity. The biggest, best fast once will always pale in comparison to a consistent fast that's, more doable regularly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to highlight something that I'm seeing in the chat. And one, I want to respond that obviously there are so many of you here and there are only three of us. We can't possibly answer all the questions there in the chat. But I want to say something about, again, those little questions that come up. Wait a minute. Does this mean I can never have dairy? Wait, did you say no nuts? What about, oh my gosh, natural flavor? What do you mean I can't have that? Again, being mindful of not just taking anything you hear from anyone in our community or any one of us as like suddenly gospel. You have to see, what does it do for you? Some people, when they have dairy, they do fine. Other people, an hour later, they can feel it in their joints. They wake up in the morning. If I have too much dairy in the morning, I feel it. I stand up and I can feel it in my ankles, in my feet, in my hands. So that tells me it doesn't work real well for me. That's great that that other person can, pound it down all day long. That doesn't work that way for me. So again, nuts, this, that. Yes, we always give out some advice about this, but I really want to encourage you to start to figure out, does that item work for me? Someone said, well, wait, I've been using this and this. Does this mean I shouldn't? My first question to that person, if they were my client, is, are you getting the results you want to get? Is your inflammation down? Is your insulin level down? Are your glucose numbers good? Are you losing weight? Is your fatty liver going away? If you're getting the results you want, I don't know. Doesn't sound like you need to eliminate that thing or stop using it or whatever. But if you're saying, man, I'm doing all the things right and it's not working, and then you say, oh, well, I am eating that all the time, or I am doing this, then maybe it's time to pull that out. We are not, in general, a really rule-bound group. Like, know this, only this, do it like this, because that's not how our bodies work. The hard part about that is, in some ways, although people don't actually like to follow the rules, it would be easier if we just told you the rules. But we've all been misled by that in the past with so many attempts at weight loss and health journeys, because we're all different. If you're getting the result you want and you're doing it in a healthy way, keep doing it. If you're not getting the results you want, even though you're doing healthy things, you're going to have to tweak something. Something's going to have to be changed. So I use dairy as an example, but I don't want us to get too caught up on that, because again, 275 of us, maybe 210 of us should never touch dairy again. And 40 of us do great with dairy. And 25 of us, it's kind of iffy. We can't say what that's going to be for you. But because we're talking about this, I want to poke a little bit with Jamie, because one thing we're talking about is figuring out, setting the fasting aside for a moment, figuring out what works for me in what I eat. And some of us have some more leeway with that, and some of us have a little narrower band of things that work for our body. So, Jamie, would you tell us a little bit about your upcoming workshop that helps people figure this out?
Happy to. So, starting mid-August, I believe it starts on the 18th, I am leading a elimination diet elimination program for people. What does that mean? You will hear, if you join our community, you will get tired of hearing the phrase N equals one. But we really do believe that we are our own best science experiment almost when we start this journey. So part of that is really discovering the foods that work for you and you alone. Like what Terri was referring to. She may be great with dairy. Someone else may not be great with dairy. So how do you find that out? By doing what is called an elimination diet. And what that consists of is taking 30 days. So you take your 30 days and you eliminate a certain amount of foods and certain foods. The foods that are eliminated are the foods that generally people find cause some of the most inflammation for many people. Again, not for everyone, but for many people. So there's different types of elimination diets. So I'll be leading the two most common. One is similar to what's called a Whole30. I did not make it up. We always give credit to where credit is due. It was founded by a woman named Melissa Urban, where you eliminate a certain amount of food groups like dairy, legumes, obviously all carbohydrates, breads, gluten, etc. And you eliminate these foods for the 30 days to get them out of your system. And then there's another elimination protocol that's a little bit more strict called the autoimmune protocol, which we'll be introducing, which is really for people, maybe if you do have an autoimmune issue, like a rheumatoid arthritis, which I had and reversed by doing this myself. And we do, for 30 days, we eliminate those foods. I'll give you a clear list of what to eliminate and a list of what you can have. And the fascinating thing is you start to notice as that 30 days go on, all of a sudden your body's changing. Not just your body, but how you feel. You may wake up one day and you're like, hop out of bed. It's like, oh my gosh, my joints don't hurt. What's going on here? You may all of a sudden not have that coffee phlegm that dairy gives many of us. All of a sudden that's gone. And I give you a checklist of things to observe that all of a sudden are feeling better, that we don't even know have been a problem because we've been used to having them. Well, some of those issues very likely are related to something that you've been eating. I know, I'm sorry to be the one to tell you guys this, but it has. So once you take all of those things out, you're cleaning your body from it for 30 days, you're measuring all this great progress, how great you're feeling. Then at that 30-day mark, here's where the important piece comes in. So I rope you in by saying it's a 30-day process, but it's really more like a 6-week process, not a 4-week process. Because the magic comes in the reintroduction. So then I'll walk you through a way to reintroduce systematically all the foods that you have eliminated for those 30 days. And that, my friends, is where the magic happens. As you reintroduce, you will find out exactly how that food affects your body, how that food makes you feel. Once you really have that knowledge, guess what? Now you have the choice. I'm a big believer. If you start coming to my groups, I talk about the power that we have choices. Once you have that information of how a particular food, like dairy, works for your body, you can make the choice if you want that in your life or not in your life. If you want that in your life, maybe just once a year or every day. But you have the knowledge of how foods affect you. So this gives you the opportunity to create your own diet. Forget what everyone else is doing, what the books say. This is you creating a diet that absolutely works for you and your body type. I think they're invaluable. I do elimination diets once a year because your body does change on this journey as you heal. There's some foods now that I can have, at least in moderation, that I couldn't have in the beginning because I have healed my body through this journey. So I would love if anyone wants to join. I don't know where the links are somewhere, but we will be starting on the August 18th. And I will be there to work with you, walk through you, support you with a whole group of people to, yeah, find out your individual diet.
I love that, Jamie. That is so, and you're muted, Terry. That is so at the core of what we believe at the fasting method, what what I've always understood. And like Terry was saying, so often, people are like, what are the rules? What am I supposed to eat? What is, what's the prescription? And y'all, if there was an answer to that question, right? The perfect diet for every human, it'd have been sussed out by now, right? Billions have been spent on research to, for weight loss and all kinds of things to try and figure these things out. And there doesn't seem to be one size fits all, which is like Terry said, that's what makes it so complicated. And so it can be frustrating, but like Jamie said, it also puts the agency where it belongs, which is right in the center of your chest. You absolutely can trust that you can figure out what foods work best for you. But sometimes it does require a systematic approach, like the one Jamie's talking about. When we're trying to look at all these variables at once, it can be hard to suss out. Why am I so bloated? Why am I so cranky? Why do I have this brain fog? Sometimes the elimination diet comes in and you're like, oh wow, I feel so much better. And then like Jamie said, the key point is what was doing it, right?
Right.
So you want to be real careful about adding it all back at once and you're like, crap, I feel bad again. I missed it.
Yes.
So the like she said, the reintroduction is so critical to that piece to know. Like that's how I figured out how, that's why I feel so called about dairy. I'm still trying to break up with it. It's a bad boyfriend that just keeps finding his way back. But yeah, like that's how we figure this stuff out for ourselves. And that's why we dance around when people try to ask us for, like, what am I supposed to eat? Well, it's
Yeah.
complicated. How many carbs? It's complicated. Can I have nuts? It's complicated. Ultimately, it is your body. It is your choice. You get to decide what you eat. So, please keep that in mind that no one should be telling you what to eat, least of all us.
Yeah. And it's so freeing. I think that's what we think about these things as being a chore, but in reality, it's really freeing. And again, Melissa Urban, who really kind of like got this out into the world, she talks about it as finding your food freedom. Because when we know again what affects us, we have the freedom. Now we can choose. Something may be worth it to you at one point for a little stomach upset for 48 hours, but you've made that choice if you know what's coming. So that think about the freedom we now have that we know what to eat for our bodies.
Yeah, no guilt, no shame, just really choice that we get to make the
Yeah.
choice. I think the other thing that we're kind of highlighting here, those of you who are not already members of TFM, but you've been, poking around, seeing if it might be something you'd like to do, or you're considering maybe working with one of us or one of the other coaches, is that we don't require a specific dietary approach. We certainly will teach you what impact certain things generally have, and then you're going to test them out for your body. But I wish we didn't have labels. I wish no one had to say, "Oh, I'm paleo. Oh, I'm primal. Oh, I'm this, I'm that." I would just like to hear Heather's plan and Jamie's plan. Like that to me is what actually makes sense. But that means we have to do some experimenting to figure that out. And as I just mentioned, we do offer coaching at TFM. We have a group of us. There are three here today, but we have others as well. And you can find all of us on the website. And we have two different types of coaching. One is for accountability. If you're like, dang it, I know all of this stuff, I've got tons of good information, but I am having a hard time implementing it, boom, sign up with Jamie, sign up with Coach Jill. Both of them do accountability coaching. Get that support. Come to a meeting with your coach and other people every 2 weeks and knock it out. If you say, you know what, there's more of it that I need to learn. I've got some health things that I'm not quite sure how this all fits. Sign up with Heather, sign up with me, sign up with Lisa. We have others of us who do not accountability coaching, but kind of a more health coaching approach. And we have another new offering. So I want to toss this over to Heather, a new coaching offering that we have as well.
Thanks, Terry. So this is a beta program. It is a 6-month intermittent fasting weight loss program. I'm saying it's beta because I am launching it for the first time, and it is a program designed for people that have kind of a ways to go, either a ways to go or you're brand new with a ways to go, right? So it's not kind of for people at the end of their journey. And the whole idea behind it is that I'm going to be doing weekly lessons as well as group coaching. There is a max of 25 people that I'm going to cap it off at. I believe there are 8 spots left. And the idea is that week after week, I teach you a lesson. I give you some action items to implement, and then you go do it. And then I'll have an accountability tool that I can review and see that you are keeping up with what the idea is for you to be working on that week. And my thought, based on all the clients that I've worked with and the coaching that I've done in my own personal experience, because Terry was my coach, if you're not familiar with me. So I personally have lost 80 pounds through low carb and intermittent fasting. And so what I see a lot happening is that people come and they have all of this information all at once dumped on them, and they don't know what's important, and they try to implement it all at once, and they get overwhelmed and they fizzle out, and right? And so my thought is, okay, what if I doled that out week after week, told you what you needed to know when you needed to know it, and basically put little rocks across the river for you to walk across so that you could gradually get to where you're trying to get to. That's my idea behind this program. That is what I'm trying to get going. So if that's something that you're ready to commit to, because I'm really looking for people that are willing to commit and, put the work in, right? None of us can do this work for you. It really is something that you have to show up for yourself. And so if you're really committed and you're really ready to get going, that program starts August 28th.
Really quick follow-up question, Heather. Someone just asked in the chat, if they want to do that program with you, do they need a CGM or a ketone monitor? Is that a need for that course?
Yeah. No, it's not required. Do I love me some CGMs? Could I go about CGMs for the next 20 minutes? Yes, I could. But no, you are not required to use any kind of monitoring. I do recommend that people that are in a weight loss program do get on the scale, once a week. That is, kind of part of my coaching. So people that are allergic to the scale, which plenty of people are, and that is a choice. But if you want to see yourself making progress through a weight loss program, I do recommend once a week. And if not the scale, some sort of measurements to check your progress.
Awesome. All right, we have had so much we wanted to get to share with you that we haven't really had time to switch over to the kind of Q&A part of this. And I've seen lots of questions being posted in the chat. That's why I've been trying to bring up some of these topics as we've been going to try to address some that have been coming up. But one person put in the Q&A box as her question, and I'm going to abbreviate a little bit, trying to figure out how to rein in what is a meal, because some of us get in the mindset of eating window and we think, again, I started at noon, it might last until 2:30, but I wasn't quite done yet. How do we rein that in? One thing I always recommend is, borrowing from one of our colleagues in the past and podcast co-host Nadia would talk a lot about plating. And for many of us, I think this is a really valuable tool. Put your meal together on a plate, sit down and eat it. Work on the mindfulness, all of that, but you've got your meal. And most of us actually know, once we experiment a little bit, we know what a meal is for us. We know how much protein, we know the sides or whatever. And then you're done. Now, some of us might have a ritual that kind of marks the closing of the meal. Might be a nice cup of your favorite tea or something, some way to kind of, a little bit of closure for that meal. But where some of us have struggled is we put a time on it. And I have watched more people than not struggle with this because they go like this. All right, I've got 41 minutes left. And they start thinking about what can I go do? Or, uh-oh, I've only got 7 minutes left. Hurry. The window's going to close. And I just think for most of us, that's not a really healthy way to think about it versus think about a meal. I ate a meal and I'm complete. And then again, maybe you do something that kind of ritualizes the closing of that meal. For me, that is getting out of the kitchen. So when I'm done, put away the dishes, whatever I need to do, and then I leave the area. I'm not accessing food in my living room. I'm not accessing food in my office or my bedroom. And so for some of us, it might be a move out of the area, a proximity kind of thing. But I really want to encourage people to be really mindful that they don't just keep asking themselves, do you want any more? Because the lower brain is almost always going to say yes. Or asking a question like, what sounds good now? Woo, problem. Instead, did I complete my meal? Did I give my body all that it needed for this time? Yes. And here's where it gets difficult for some of us is we're eating this meal before starting a fast. And that lower brain says, oh no, we're not going to eat tomorrow, or we're not going to eat breakfast tomorrow, whatever it is. We better eat more now. If I'm not going to get paid until next week, should I spend more right now? Like that doesn't even make sense. So we can't, what's the right word? We can't compensate for the fact that we're going to fast by eating extra. It doesn't work. It actually triggers us to do less well on that fast. And we also can't compensate after we fast by eating extra then. A meal is a meal is a meal, whether it's the one heading into your fast, the one you break your fast with, or somewhere in between. So I just got about 5 of my teaching points into that one answer.
And that's such a common question, isn't it? That whole, well, first of all, how long is the window? And I was paying attention, Terry. I really was. But did you mention that sometimes we'll maybe eat for we'll eat and then be done and then wait 30 minutes. And if we're still like not like, oh, what else could I go for? But more
Yeah.
like when we say listen to your body, this shouldn't answer you in words, right? I know it sounds good, Heather. No, 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 not that part of your body. Like listening to your body is the sensation, right? Feeling like, okay, do I feel satisfied? I feel like I feel satisfied, right? And if not, if you're like you still have that kind of true hunger feeling, and you have to live with integrity, right? And really know, is it hunger or not? And then, have eat again if necessary, right? When you're first starting, that not having that 90 minutes with like a 30-minute break in between can be a lifeline because people can feel very, pressured by that idea. Oh my God, I'm not going to eat in 5 more hours, and this is going to be bad. And I stopped eating, and I wasn't done. Right? Like that's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We have a system for that, right? And so maybe in the beginning, when you're figuring out what your meal is, that's a way to do it. But just like Terry said, a lot of times people will have this like impetus to prepare to eat in preparation for a fast. Well, like Terry said, it's not going to work, right? First of all, like you've digested it all, right? By the time you're at that next meal, it's already been used, it's been processed, friend. Secondly, well, I mean, I am weight loss focused, so let's be clear. Like, if the whole idea is that you want to tap into body fat for fuel, like you don't want to put in extra, because then what's your body going to be using? What's in your gut? And B, when you break, you don't want to put in extra, because what's your body going to do? It's going to replace what it just used up from your body fat. So, somebody in the chat just, is asking about plateaus. A lot of times that's where plateaus are coming from. We are compensating with our fasts with what we're eating, either beforehand or afterward. Another reason that people plateau, it can really depend on your level of insulin resistance and how many carbohydrates that your body can tolerate. And so I'll see people plateauing because they're keeping their insulin a little too high. And of course, Dr. Fung has taught us, if, insulin's fat storage, when it is up, our body just does not let go of body fat. And so I would encourage you to take a really close look at your way of eating and see if maybe that insulin is high because those carbohydrates are too high. And maybe you need to pull that down in order to give your body the opportunity to extricate that body fat for fuel.
Phew. Jamie, bring it on down now. Anything you want to add to any of those? Or
Um,
another idea that you wanted to get to express?
I just got lost with all that.
I mean, really? Like, I felt like that was okay. Maybe I went a little too far. Rein it on in. I got a lot to say. Terry, you have
I,
5 points.
love that. Um, I mean, I know we're getting close. I think what I always kind of like to stress, and even the way that I coach or my philosophy in this is yes, you will learn all the basics, how to eat, how to fast. I think a really important piece that we always need to remember on this journey is A, to work with our stress levels and to come in and work with that. Really hard to have success when we are stressed. That is something else that most all of us coaches do focus on. It's kind of a pet passion of mine. I'm also the meditation teacher around TFM. So I like to work with that. But also to come in, and this is kind of a Terry expertise. She was also my coach with that love and self compassion for ourselves. This is a journey. We are all here to support you, but in the end of the day, we need to support ourselves and give ourselves that self compassion when we're starting this health journey. And I just try to really hope that all of us remember that and give ourselves to that along the way. And just being kind to ourselves. And I think that goes just as far on this journey as some of the other things that we teach you, but it really is a package. And for those of you who are not a member of TFM, what you will find is really, I get a little emotional myself because TFM has changed my life, but you will find a group of amazing, compassionate, not only coaches, but a community, which sometimes in community groups astonishes me with how kind and compassionate everybody is here. So if you are looking for something new to help you, we are here for you. The community is here for you. And hopefully we help teach you to be here for yourselves.
See, two of my coaches here, my meditation coach, my fasting coach. Look how blessed I am to have these women in my life, y'all.
And look where it got you, right?
Look, it got me right here.
Yeah.
Ah, so good. So good.
Did we all love TFM so much when we come in as members? We beg to be hired as coaches and we just never leave. So
That's right. That's right.
I'm still here.
So I want to summarize a couple of quick things that I put in the chat for those of you who maybe haven't explored our website yet. Maybe you're not a member. I put in some links. So I put in the link for the workshops. So Jamie's Elimination Diet Approach workshop is on that page, as well as some other upcoming workshops. You can also bundle them. So if you say, oh, I want to do Jamie's, ooh, and I want to do one of Megan's, and I want to do one of Terry's, they are still available to bundle and save a little bit more that way. I also put the link in for coaching, and that is for both the health coaching and for the accountability coaching. So if you say, oh, I want to work with Heather, there's a link in there for Heather. Oh, I want to work with Jamie, there's a link in there for Jamie. I shared the link for Heather's 6-month program. Someone asked about the program, so I just started giving all of these just in case. And also for the community. This is the first week of the month, and so it is the beginning of what we have called a 12-week jumpstart program. So it's 3 months where we kind of walk you through. We give you every other week, we give you a lesson so that you can really digest that information. We have support meetings just for people who are kind of in the middle of that jumpstart program to navigate things. So it's a great opportunity. There's also a code in there if you want to just join for the whole 3 months and be a part of that jumpstart program. Trying to think if I put anything else in the chat. So I just tried to give you all of the links to how do I join this, what's available here, all of that. Thank you for those of you who gave some feedback about appreciating this. Obviously, we love doing this. Heather and I, you almost can't like tie us down. We get so excited while we're doing this. Jamie, you've been very centering for us. Thank you for that. And
can I just give one more thing before
yeah,
we close it? just a shameless self-promotion. Since accountability coaching is new,
Yeah.
we do have a 25% special on that. It technically ends on Friday. But if you hop on and schedule an initial assessment, it's a 15-minute assessment. As long as you schedule that this week, correct me if I'm wrong, we can honor that
Yeah, as
25%.
long as you have that appointment this
Have it.
week. So if
Yeah.
you listen to this, and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to work with Jamie, go in and sign up for an intake with her this week, and then she can give you the code to still get you that discount. It does, like I said, or like Jamie said, it ends this week, but get your intake in and you still get to take advantage of that discount.
Yeah. And if you
For
hop on
Coach Jamie and
myself
Coach Jill.
and
Yeah.
Coach Jill, access, and if you don't see times on our schedule, write a message to support at thefastingmethod.com, and generally we can squeeze you in and add some more times.
Very good. All right, everyone. Save your questions because I know a lot of you have some questions. Come to we have another one of these next month on September 4th. So come to that one, have your questions ready, and we'll try and get through some of your questions. Thank you, Jamie, and thank you, Heather. I really appreciate this. I am quickly typing one quick answer, and then I'm going to close this, and then we'll make us all disappear. So if you wanted to look for those links, please just scroll back up in the chat if you want to look at those. Also, you can go to the website and just kind of pop around. Under programs is where you find the things to sign up. And I think
Under
that's
coaching.
it.
Under coaching is
Under coaching, under webinars, and yours has a separate tab
that's
under programs. So, all right. Typing my answer as quick as I can. All right. So thank you all for being here. We look forward to seeing you again in the community and again here next month. All right. Take good care,
good
everybody.
choices, everybody.
Bye, everybody.